Welcome to Kinky Knots Cafe, Proactive is the Way, where we provide you tools and resources to enhance your mind, body, and spirit. Get ready, folks. Let us nurture you from the inside out. Welcome back, my friends. This month, we are focusing on the principle highlighted in UOU by Eric Thomas. Eric states that when you take ownership, you become the CEO of your life. On your way to success, you can't make excuses and you must constantly work on perfecting yourself. But what if you struggle with trying to find yourself? What if what you know about yourself makes you believe that you are not worthy, validated, and you do not possess the right tools, resources, and support to even take the steps you need to take ownership? And what is causing you to think this way? So, Tiffany and I, we are a proponent of finding the root cause so that we can solve a problem and truly begin to develop and take the right course of action to progress in life. In our world today, we notice that there are a great deal of people that lean on a negative narrative when they are attempting to navigate life, or they just don't know where to begin. And we want to equip them. So we landed on a book. Choose your story, change your life, silence your inner critic, and rewrite your life from the inside out by Kendra Hall. Kendra shares that it is so important that we develop the right narratives about ourselves to help in our continuous growth and development. Essentially, it's the stories that we tell ourselves that can lead us to success or failure. My friends, what are your thoughts with regards to this statement? Do you believe that the reason we rise or fall is due to the stories in which we have curated within our minds? While you ponder that question, let's check in with our guest for this month, Tarra Stubbins, founder and CEO of the Take It Easy Group, where she serves as a strategic partner to startups and existing businesses, and she was a former assistant to rock stars. Let's take a moment to get her perspective.
Great question and great book too. I absolutely love it. And her interviews and podcasts are just amazing. You can go down so many rabbit holes listening to her and her tell her stories too, which is really great. Let me start with a bit of a story about me.
Okay.
So when I was younger, really young, I had a shirt that said, "Remember me, I'm going to be a star." And I wore that shirt everywhere to the point where it disintegrated. And in my, I really wish I still had it today, but in my younger head, younger brain, I always thought that being a star was being a rock star. So singing, dancing, being up there on the stage, performing, playing musical instruments. You can see the guitar behind me. I'm not very good at kind of sounds like a dying animal when I play. Uh, I have like zero musical talent, but so I thought, well, like there goes my dream. I'm just going to throw it away because I'm not going to ever be a rock star.
Okay.
So I threw that dream away. But for some reason, I didn't throw all of it away. I held on to 0.001% of it. And I walked around with it every day. A lot of days would go by, weeks, months, years, where I would completely forget about that dream. And until I came to those pivotal moments in my life where I was like, Oh yeah, I wanted to be a rock star. Okay, I still can't sing, I still can't dance, but maybe I can make a decision to help me create like a different dream that's kind of aligned with this.
Mhm.
And you were saying that Eric was saying that you can become the CEO of your own life, and I always say that we can become the Beyoncés of our own life by just following a few simple steps and the stories we actually tell, and keeping those goals front and center.
Mhm.
So to kind of like bring it all around, I'm a huge believer in keeping your goals very, very front and center, no matter what they are. They don't have to be like a rock star, to be rich and famous. They could be to be the best parent or the best, volunteer at your church group or whatever it is,
Mhm.
whatever dream and goal is important to you. And then the stories that you tell yourself should be curated towards those goals.
Yeah.
And so they really should. And I know Kendra goes into a lot of detail in her book about how we can't just change our story once. So I can't just say, this is my goal and this is the story I'm going to tell myself. And then I'm just going to carry on, in my day. It has to be like a daily thing that we are telling ourselves, sometimes even multiple times a day, of this is my goal, this is how I'm going to get there, I'm good enough to get there too.
Right.
And so yeah, I really believe that just like Kendra says, that it is very important to be able to tell the stories in your head that are leading you towards whatever that goal is. I feel like if you don't have a goal, then you're kind of just, out there not really knowing what stories to tell and leaning on those negative thoughts as well.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. It almost makes me think about when even so I do yoga. All right. And within yoga, I everyone always tells me, Toya, you need to learn how to meditate. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, meditate? I can't do it. I said, at this time in my life, I can't do it. I have like a lot of things going on in my head. And one of the things that helps me with meditation or getting to that point is setting an intention or placing my mind on a particular, we can call it a goal or to correlate it, but setting an intention, and it helps me to bring my focus. So no matter if you get off track, you always tell yourself, okay, this is what I'm focusing on, this is what I need guidance on, etc. And doing that, as you said, having that goal, you'll come back to it. And whether you believe it or not, you will start to live it without effort, right? You'll start doing things, sometimes mindlessly, moving towards that goal. Hopefully, it's you have a strategy, but sometimes you do it and it's because it's now innate. It's now a part of your fabric, a part of your DNA. So yeah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts about what Tara shared?
So it's definitely in a line with this month's author's content. I definitely believe that the narrative, your self narrative, plays a um, plays a role in the rewards that you want to achieve for your life. So I am in total agreement with that. I think that, I learned that young. I don't know necessarily that we were using these same um,
Terminology.
yeah, definitions and terminology for um, success, because ultimately that's where we are. That's what our platform is. We're describing ways that we have found success in doing the things that bring us joy and satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
and meaning,
Mm-hmm.
meaningfulness.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's the saying also as far as the self narratives that we have, is you were and hopefully I'm not going off topic, but you were talking about we were talking previous to the recording about your support. So the people around you play an integral role in your definition, your what am I trying to say? I'm so sorry.
Really the narratives that you establish for yourself, because a lot of your narratives are generated or created based on life experiences, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
we'll talk a little bit about that a bit later on when she talks about negative narratives. But um, perhaps maybe you're sharing that you will develop narratives based on the interactions in which you have experience.
Life encounters. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I really liked what she had to say there. One of the things that really resonated with me as she was speaking was within her developing her narrative, she never, while she ventured from it, it was still ingrained within her. So
Mhm.
she held on to her dream. You know, she wanted to be, a rock star. She wanted to be a rock star, but
Mhm.
she realized she didn't have the capabilities. She realized that, okay, I'm trying to get to this point, but I don't possess the tools to get there. However, she held on to that dream deep, deep, deep down inside, right? She had this narrative that, she can do this, but maybe I have to think about this a little bit differently. And so she found a dream. It was not necessarily the same, but it was aligned, right? Becoming, as she quoted, or as she stated, I'm quoting her, becoming the Beyoncé of her own life by keeping her goals front and center.
Mhm.
So I thought that was, I like that point that she brought up, that she developed the narrative some time ago and she held on to it. And when it didn't necessarily fit within her capabilities, her capacity to deliver on that exact narrative, she didn't necessarily let it go. And I think you'll find that, and we'll talk about this a little later on, that we all do some facet of that. Let's listen to her share how she reframed her dream and aligned it with the goals she wanted to accomplish in her life. So you have a well-established business, right? You call it Take It Easy, right? And I want to know now, you just shared that you went into the world of, or you thought you were going to be an entertainer, but you transitioned. Did you ever think you would be an entrepreneur in this sense, in this space that you are in? No.
No, not at all. I was loving my life as a personal assistant, out
Okay.
there on the road living that rock and roll lifestyle. And I kind of created the dream that I wanted back then in my early 20s. I
Okay.
was like, this is cool. I can continue doing this. But I had a moment where, I was chasing around these crazy rock stars and they always had these ridiculous requests. And one of the requests that this particular rock star had was that every time he traveled, he wanted his toothbrush to be sanitized in a hotel dishwasher. So every time the toothbrush came out of the suitcase, I had to take it downstairs and sanitize it. I know. Yeah, there I get lots of questions of why didn't you just buy a new toothbrush? Why didn't you just fake it? Like all of these things. But anyway, this is what happened. So a lot of hotels would know that we were coming because we had stayed there before, and we're like, oh yeah, here comes this crazy lady with the toothbrush request again. But then some hotels we'd never been to before, and there was this one time we were in Shanghai and this very expensive upscale hotel. And there I was in the back of the kitchen trying to explain to them in a language that I didn't speak, they didn't speak English, that I had to put this toothbrush in their dishwasher. And the conversation was not going well. They were looking at me like I had three heads. It was probably the most awkward moment of my life. And I just remember standing there with this toothbrush in hand, thinking, there's got to be more to life than this. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, okay, I love helping people. And I really want to help more than one crazy rock star at a time. So I decided to finish the tour, come off the road, and I opened up my first business with zero business background at all, with just a dream and a goal of helping more than one person. And I opened up that business in 2007, and it's still going today. But with like a ton of obviously lessons along the way. And then Take It Easy in its form right now started in about 2017 when I was craving that entrepreneurial connection. And, I still didn't really know what I was doing. I was Googling how to run a successful business. I was like a dirty roadie at the time. So, I really wanted to be able to shift from, helping. Again, I was kind of helping like rich and famous people just off the road. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is enough of a shift. I really want to help people who are like me and entrepreneurs and just need that extra strategic support. So that's when Take It Easy came into play. And when I decided that the entrepreneurial life really is for me, I've been doing it for so many years now, and I just love the community and everything about it.
Okay. Yes, girl. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who eats at those restaurants and have to get their dishes washed in a, a dishwasher. Someone put their toothbrush in. Could you? I would be mortified. See, this is why I do not. I was like, I'm not staying in anybody's hotel. Oh my goodness, that is so amazing. But thank you. Thank you for making the transition and realizing that there was something better. Kudos to you, sis.
It just takes that one mundane or aggravating thing that sends off the lights in your head. And it's like, you know what? There has got to be more to life than this. I wouldn't care, honestly. Well, I shouldn't say I wouldn't care, but I just think that because money has no internal, what is it? Oh, what is it? No intrinsic value. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where did I get that out of her? Ray Dalio, or was it? Anyway, mm-hmm. money has no intrinsic value, right? So for me, when doing things, I'm like her, I just want to get to what it is I enjoy, what resonates with my spirit. Mm-hmm. And genuinely, I get satisfaction out of helping people as well, just like her story. Mm-hmm. But I don't want it to be that contrary. I don't want to feel any contrariness about what I'm doing. And taking a toothbrush not judging what she was talking about, but taking mm-hmm. a toothbrush, that was a little bit too. That's not even diva. That's just like a request that is just like, what? That seems so random of a request. I would feel like you're wasting my time.
Of course. And that's the point. That's where she got, right?
I feel like you didn't have anything for real for me to do. Right. That's how I feel like, surely you didn't hire me, paying me all these thousands of dollars
to have
And you gave me the most non-critical piece of a task to do.
right.
Like,
But
oh,
I found I love that story. I love that and that she felt
mhm,
open and to share that with me because I thought about how life is just so interesting. It's that it did take that moment for her to say, okay, there is something better out here for me.
mhm.
So if you notice, she kept following her dream, but she was altering it.
Right. She was modifying it as it applied. Yeah,
Exactly.
she would adjust it as it applied. I thought that that was a good point that she was making because to branch out and do something, that's taking a big risk, right?
Mhm,
Like to have no background in it, be
mhm,
like, just having just the deep desire, just the deep internal, just all knowing that you know exactly what to do. You know what? It's actually kind of biblical. It's actually kind of a biblical perspective.
mhm.
Um, where you do things and you don't worry about how they're going to unfold. You just go ahead and do it because you're going to be provided the tools and the power to do it because ultimately and not even biblical but just a universal perspective, right? Because the universe is going to conspire to
Mhm.
make you successful, at least it's supposed to.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you'll start getting directed towards tools and resources that will help guide you. I mean, she leveraged Google, but I'm sure she had more support outside of Google that helped her to ultimately get to where she is today. But she kept that dream. She didn't
Right,
let it go, but she
right,
realized that along the way, I have to alter it a little bit
right.
so that she felt whole within who she is. And I think that's a part of our life. We have to be able to be comfortable and be flexible that if something is not going as planned, how do we adapt where we are still aligned to our dream and reframe our dreams so that we can still accomplish the goals that we have within our life. And you did something similar. I did as well, right? Human
Mhm.
resources,
Well,
20
I'm doing something like that right now.
right
Like
now. Exactly.
I'm up here calling it a
Midlife crisis, which I don't think it's a midlife crisis.
and most people will, and that's why people get stuck because what we
Exactly.
do is we attach all these labels and stereotypes and colloquialisms. We attach all this stuff to it. We're the ones who make it you know complicated. We're the ones who are creating the challenges around those things that people believe. Yeah. So I sorry.
24/7. When you said that, outside of this platform, that I'm going through a midlife crisis, I'm like, who said that you cannot shift? If this is not serving you, if you're in an environment that is not
And
serving
I'm not serving it.
and you're not
That's
serving it, why
ultimately,
you
yeah.
can't shift out of that environment into another environment or a facet of what you do and find joy, find happiness within a new environment. And sometimes you're forced, right? So I was kind of forced. I got severed from my job and then I started having health issues. And so but I still found a way to make it all come together to where I'm still kind of doing what I was doing
The same
in
thing,
human
right?
resource. It's under a different platform, but hey, and I'm having much more fun. You know why?
Right. And not under the pressures of a corporation or
Exactly.
organizational politics. You don't have
Exactly.
your mind can be free from that
Right.
because what people fail to understand is in that type of setting, that's the reason why you are so stressed out. That's the reason why people have poor satisfaction on,
Well, you're living someone else's dream, right?
correct.
Making money for
Exactly.
someone else. And while they may value you, at the end of the day, you are still underneath their um, regime. And you have to abide by their rules, their regulations, etc.
Even if it doesn't go along with your morals and values or your. And
Yeah.
that's
Or
unfortunate.
just who you are as a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But we all know going into the entrepreneurial space, it's tough. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very
Oh,
tough.
yeah.
You have to be strong,
Uh-huh.
strong-willed, persistent, resilient, you
You
know.
gotta, even when they're not verbally saying no, you gotta be able to accept just the uh the the rejection
Mhm.
um in an entrepreneurial setting. Like you gotta be able to accept the rejection of whew, obtaining capital. You have to be able to accept rejection and move on and look for another way.
Oh, absolutely.
Always have
Constant.
a plan A and plan B, as cliche as that is.
That's not
It's
cliche.
important.
Girl, you better have a contingency plan. I'm
Okay.
telling you, I say it all the time. I have 2 and 3 of everything.
So,
And no, but you have to,
no,
because
you have
just
to because
in
it's
case, not that you plan to fail, but any event things don't go as planned, you want to have something to fall back on. I call it a parachute. You want to have something to fall back on that will help keep you floating. For example, right, our house got burned down, right? Our house got burned down. Do you know what I had to do to shift this whole podcast? This podcast could have ended in December,
mhm.
right? I said this podcast would have been done in December once that house got burned down. But I was like, no, well, Tiffany can't really be here because she's trying to get the house back together. And, she's in school and she's doing all these different things. So I don't want to stress her. Let me find a way. And so you have to have these contingency plans lined up so that in the end, you're able to continue moving forward. Because let me tell you, this type of business, it is no joke. You're going to have ebb and flows like you will never know. But if you truly believe in it and it sits well within your heart, as you mentioned earlier, the universe, it will conspire to help you find a way to continue moving forward in this direction, especially if it's positive.
Right.
If it's positive and it's positively impacting individuals, it will conspire for you. And you have to believe that. You have to believe that. But so in this space, right, you have to also, while you're going through this process, stay strong, right? Build the right narratives to find success. Let's listen to Tara and the narratives that she developed about herself and her business to help grow it to what it is today. So, in order to be successful, where you are today, because it had to, because you say that, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm walking blindly and I'm just trying to figure it out. What were some of the narratives that you developed about yourself or even your business to help you grow it to what it was today? Knowing that you didn't have the foundation, what did you say to yourself that helped you to keep going?
So I don't know if it was a narrative of, obviously I have lots of stories that I love to tell about my background and things that I've witnessed along the way with these crazy celebrities. But I don't know if it was a story that I told myself about me, or if it was stories that I latched onto from other people that I saw and really carried through. So when I was helping celebrities, and I actually still do today to a certain point,
Mhm.
I was always fascinated with why them? Why are they the rock stars up on the stage and not me? Like there's no such thing as the lottery ticket of life.
Mhm.
So why them? And I was always fascinated and have been a sponge of like how they have created their success and maintained their success. And I took the little tidbits of what I learned and what I witnessed of how they would run their day to day and talk to people and interact. And I used those narratives to be able to build and scale my businesses, and then now help other people build and scale their own businesses and achieve their own goals, whether it's personal or business. Um, so the narratives were more like, okay, I'm not going to copy exactly what this person, this celebrity does every single morning, because every celebrity has a different morning routine. So like that doesn't make sense. Um, or I'm not going to, obviously I can't afford to have all this, staff and extra help and everything. So I can't copy them there. But like, what exactly are they doing? And we were talking earlier about like building the habit of being able to really tell those good stories to yourself, and how it is like a habit that has to be formed. It's not something that you can just say like once and you're done type thing.
Right.
And I really noticed that these successful people were building habits, but they were building they were building the right habits again to achieve their goals. So I kept telling myself when I was building my own businesses that what I'm doing on a day to day has to be something that will drive me towards that end goal. So what habit am I doing now? So it becomes, mindless almost. So I can build these bigger goals. So that's like not really like a narrative that I was saying, but it's more of something that I caught on to, of how these like celebrities were really becoming successful and maintaining their success.
You brought up a point with regards to, I couldn't do some of the things that they did with regards to like having a big staff, etc. One thing that came to my mind was, but you did what you had to do in terms of gaining that support. Because when I look at your team, you have a nice little team there, right? So you found the capability to leverage that knowledge. Maybe you didn't develop it into a narrative, but you kept it within you to say, hey, I can't do this alone. I do need the support, right? If I want to grow this. And so let me get these team members on board. And you got a nice little team. It seems like you guys are doing pretty well together. So
yeah, it's actually interesting when I started my business, as I said, I Googled like how to run a successful business.
right.
And Google told me back in 2007, hustle and network. And I still hate the word hustle because I don't understand it. It's not tangible enough for me. I can't like tell me send 100 emails a day or do this or do that. But I really latched onto the networking. It was something that I could, understand, like, okay, I have to go talk to this many people and build my network. And to do that, I have to go to this many events and whatever it is. So I am a huge believer in the power of your network. And, you see that with celebrities of, their network is large, where whether it's like their entourage or, their fans or whoever it is. But really being able to latch on to whatever network you can create. You're only as good as your network, I believe.
That is so true. Yes, we highlighted we had a podcast on networking and the importance of it. And some people, I think, feel a little dismayed by networking. I don't want to say dismayed, but it's a struggle, right? You have to be vulnerable and get outside of your comfort zone to ask for help, which can be really, really tough. And so, it is very important, as you shared, to develop a network. And even if it's folks that you connect with one off, I know I have a couple friends. I mean, I might meet their associates, but I might meet with them once a year. Hey, how are you? But just connecting, letting them know that you've been thinking about them and trying to keep those connections open is so important. So thank you for that point.
I honestly think that because it's in Michelle Obama's book, that a lot of this was luck, right? A lot of people's lives are luck. It's just that is their luck, that they are in the position, or like they became a rock star and you didn't. It just has to do with their level of luck. I forget how Michelle Obama explained it, but she basically explained it and said that that's the reason why, like she knows a certain amount of her success was just luck. And so she was just in a position, in a luckier position.
Being being in the right place at the right time to have the respective interactions that helped her get to where she is today.
Now, I like to keep my network. Now, she's saying keeping a large network, and I kind of framed it as keeping a small network, but with large people. Because see, I don't need that many people around me, but I need their presence to be large for the people I need them to be in front of for me. So if I'm tasking and delegating to my support, my network, and the people I've made connections with, I just need them to be large and in charge. You know what I mean? I don't really feel like I need an entourage or a very large network. It would be nice, but I also feel like in certain industries, and not necessarily medical, like you need to covet some knowledge, because people are always out here pirating ideas, right? Pirating, you know, proprietary information, just your creativity. People are still in well, you can see it on social media. People take people's videos all the time and then don't even, tag them in the video. Like, I stole your content, and then they're getting the A while that person gets the B, kind of like in school, when you help somebody. But anyway, but yeah, those are, but yeah, what she said about networking and connections, and I totally agree with all of that. You have to be, but see, that comes from grooming too. Like, you have to have been groomed for that, because some people do find it hard. It's a challenge to, walk into a room and, look around, you feel the energy in some of these places where you're trying to enter the executive team or you're trying to enter the C-suite. How you going to get in there? Like, one big, huge thing, Toya, is that people are in the US, people are so superficial. The first thing, and I do leverage this because people like looking at nice things, is your looks. And as superficial and shallow as that sounds, a lot of people are successful or have made it just because somebody likes the way they look. That could be the very first thing. Can't say evidence-wise that this is like fact, but in my observations, in my, encounters with people, like, that's the first thing they want to comment on, and then they want to talk to you.
Yeah, it's that how do you call it? The attention getter. They do talk. There's actually a study done, but they referenced height. That
Yes.
who tend to be taller to find more success than individuals who have a smaller stature.
Yes, and my nursing instructor, I cannot remember her name. I think her first name was Carrie. She told me down in Sinclair, she was like, I already know that she just basically spoke, and she was like, you're going to be very successful and financially stable. She was like, because you have all of the attributes. She was like, you're so tall, you have a commanding presence when you walk in the room. And she was like, I know that you're going to be like
that look. You have that initial I don't even know what you want to call that. I can't put a word on it, but
what is it called? They do call it something like basically what Tarra says, star quality.
Yeah, the qualities of a star. But I wanted to go back to something that you said with regards to network. That you don't need a big network, but you do need a network that is influential. So I kind of agree and disagree. I think sometimes when people think about networking, you tend to think that the individuals you network with have to always be in your business, right? But when I think about a network, I think about people that I tap, periodically. Because I do agree with when you have too many people around you, but I look at that as if they're around you 24/7, influencing your every thought, every movement, etc. That can become overwhelming. That can potentially, uh, how do I want to say, negatively impact your growth, having that constant interference or interaction. But it's good to kind of have a diverse array of individuals, whether it be and people who are not so influential, because the people who are influential are visionaries, big thinkers. They're really not going to, they'll put you in probably good spaces and then you do all the work. But sometimes you might need someone who plays in the backdrop, who can handle certain tasks, etc. So your competency, if that is not your competency, say, for example, administrative work or something to that effect, you will know how to leverage them. Or you will have someone to leverage to assist you in those respective endeavors. And you want to have that. You want to have that spectrum of individuals, because especially when you get into managing a bigger organization, you want to make sure you've built through your networking the capabilities to leverage individuals at every spectrum, so that when it comes time for you to engage in a particular endeavor, you have the right resources, the tools in order to effectively accomplish that. So I do I agree and disagree with regards to that. So just be mindful of that, because you will need those. What is that children's story, The Lion and the Mouse? Where the lion's like, yeah, I don't need no mouse, and then the lion gets caught, and then here comes the mouse. Here comes the mouse who actually frees the lion. The mouse who you know, doesn't have the stature, doesn't have the command of a lion. But when it came time, he needed that mouse, right?
Mhm.
He needed that mouse to lean on.
I need you to chew through this rope right quick for me.
What is it called?
I said, I need you to chew through this rope right quick
Yeah,
for me. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, for sure. Um, One thing that I wanted to note on this narrative topic, I like the fact that she borrowed narratives. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we can't figure it out, and it's okay. It's okay to.
oh yeah, when she said she didn't know what hustling was. Oh,
I
that's how I was going. As I was thinking, oh, she must have never played organized sports.
huh?
Um,
Yeah.
because
Well,
that's my first understanding of hustle, right? Like,
that's true. I didn't think of it in that way, but when she said that, though, I was actually with her on that one. I didn't say it, but I was like, girl, I said the same. It is not tangible when you're telling me I got to hustle, but you're not giving me steps to.
it's not tangible, but hustle is a mindset.
But what kind of mindset? If you
It's whatever you want it, it's whatever it means to you.
Yeah, but I just don't. I hate. I'm honestly, I was with her on that. I was like, girl, in my head while she was speaking, I was like, girl, I say the same thing. You cannot tell me to hustle and you not giving me any tools to hustle effectively. You
I
got
don't think
to
I
turn
don't think it
so tangible.
I think you over analyzing that and overthinking that.
But think about saying that to a student coming straight out of school or coming out of college. I just think sometimes we need to think deeper when we share the fact that you have to hustle. Because I can say right now, I mean, I work hard, but is the work that I'm doing, is it the type of hustling that I should? Because you can hustle effectively and ineffectively. So when we say certain things like, girl, you better hustle. Okay, but I am like, I'm working every day. So my hustle must not be effective. What within my hustle do I need to do differently so that I can find success? I think if we applied something tangible to it, we would be more effective at hustling well versus just you better hustle, right? And then, of course, we already talked about the fact that it's very important to have a network. But those were the two that I just wanted to make sure we touched on. Take heed, folks, with regards to that networking. It is so important. And as you heard, it came up again. One thing that I want to jump to is Kendra in her book. She has another book, Stories That Stick.
Oh yeah, I saw that in
Yeah,
the
you
article.
have to, if you have a moment, especially for people who have a business. One thing that she talked about in terms of developing a narrative or stories, that we should think about how to do that from a business perspective. And she highlights that there are four essential stories that businesses should develop to find success: the value story, the founder story, the customer story, and the purpose story. And what was interesting is when I read that book on my website, I found that I actually used all four elements. So I'm excited to know from a personal perspective that I'm kind of on the right path. But I, of course, will continuously improve on that. But I wanted to bring that point up, just especially for those who have a business, to know that this particular book that we're referencing today, it's focusing more on personal development. But if you want to learn more about building narratives for your business, check out that book as well. I have it on Kinky Knots Cafe, our approved book list as well. And once again, the name of that is Stories That Stick by Kendra Hall. So, Tiff, Kendra shared that sometimes the stories in which we create, okay, that internal dialogue can create gaps leading us astray.
Mm.
And she stated it can lead us astray from what we desire and as such need to be analyzed. So let's take a listen to Tarra as we leaned in on negative narratives and how these narratives impacted Tara's life.
I'm a business owner. I feel like every business owner possesses negative thoughts on a daily basis. And I really don't think that it's something that we're ever going to get over. Again, I always think of these celebrities and, they're at the top of the game. They have everything they can possibly have. And they have their bad days and their bad moments and their bad thoughts too. I think it's just all part of being human.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I've had millions of negative thoughts. And on a day to day, I'm constantly thinking, am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Am I why did I get into this in the first place? Am I on the right path? Just things like that. I think about my team and how I'm responsible for them and their lives, their paychecks. So it's stressful and something that again goes through my mind every day. I know Kendra talks about the iceberg and how 10% only, we only see about 10% of the iceberg and 90% is underneath the water. Mm-hmm. And I talk a lot about how a lot of times we blame the outside world for why we can't do things. So, social media is too distracting, or that, chatty person in the office, I can never get anything done, or my partner's not supportive. It's always outside triggers and problems that we blame, but that actually is only 10% of the problem. So 10% of the iceberg that we see. The other 90% are all our internal thoughts. So again, I'm not good enough. I don't have enough money. I'm not smart enough. This is too hard. This is too boring. Mm-hmm. Things like that. I'd rather be doing something else. So it's being, in my opinion, successful people are the ones who are able to overcome those 90% of triggers and just move past them. Mm-hmm. So, Kendra talks about being able to change your story and filling that iceberg with more positive and reaffirming stories instead of the negative stories, mm-hmm. which is great. And, a lot of times it will help people I just don't want people to think that if they, yell affirmations in the mirror every day, that you're actually changing, 100% of what you need to change. It's really only changing that like 10% of the iceberg of what you see. So if it's, creating stories, or if it's meditating, or if it's creating your own motivation, which really helps you continue and move on forward with doing other things, whatever that is, I think it's really important to be able to combat those negative thoughts that we are going to get on a day-to-day basis.
And would you say there was one facet of the strategies that you just mentioned that you leaned on the most, whether it be meditation? Some people do use affirmations to change their state of mind, and set a different mindset when they can't do it themselves. They lean on those, or working out, etc. What is it that you kind of leaned on um, that was your, I don't want to say it's a crutch, but it was your savior, if you will, to helping you get past I'm not good enough? Because that's a big one.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. To say I'm not good enough and you're running a business, that can really bring you down to a point where you just quit, right?
It's true. The one thing that I lean on the most is I've been here before and I've gotten past it.
Mhm.
So I started my business with zero business background, and now I'm almost 20 years in. I
Right.
got past it.
Right.
Um, we've all had really bad days in business where, people are quitting, we're being sued, like, there's all these things that happen. I got past it.
Okay.
So I always think like I feel like I'm not good enough, but I am good enough because I keep moving forward and I keep getting past those problems and learning from them too. I'm only here today because of all those things that have happened to me. So that's the one thing that I lean on the most. And I tell myself every day that, you know, today may be hard, but I got through yesterday. So I'm going to get through today as well.
Right, right, yeah. And I swear, I don't know why Maya Angelou keeps coming up in my interviews. Everybody's like, and this too shall pass. Move
Yeah.
forward, right? Keep it moving.
Yeah, it's true. I have another little fun story that kind of helped me along the way too. So when
Okay.
I was working with the rock stars, I was one of the, again, like requests that I would get would be to fill the riders. So, everything, all the food and drinks and everything that would go in the dressing rooms and the buses and hotels. And there was this one young up and coming rock star that I was helping, and I got his list of, everything he needed in his dressing room. And I went off to the store and I was going through the list, and everything was great until I got to the Pop Tarts. And he wanted blueberry and raspberry Pop Tarts. And this store only had blueberry and strawberry Pop Tarts. So I called his manager and I was like, hey, like, how important are these Pop Tarts? Should I like run around town and try to find them? Like, what should I do? And he's like, no, like he hasn't eaten them in years. Just, buy whatever and come back. I was like, great. So I bought the combo pack and I went back and, was going about my day and doing other things. And I was in the dressing room right before the show, just making sure that everything was still stocked and, okay. And I heard this screaming behind me. And I looked around just in time to see a Pop Tart being thrown at my head. And so I ducked, it hit the wall behind me. And obviously, this up and coming rock star was very upset that I had decided that I had the audacity to buy the wrong Pop Tarts. So in that moment, I learned that, one, I put a lot of my worth and my business worth and my like job satisfaction in the manager. What I should have done is like I was being paid for this job, so I should have just figured it out. I probably would have gone to another store and bought the right Pop Tarts.
Mhm.
So I learned that. And I hold on to that a lot too. Like it's, I am the only one who can create my own future. I'm the only one who can save myself from the flying Pop-Tart. And then another kind of lesson I learned was my time is really valuable. And I don't want to work with these people who don't appreciate and respect my time. So I hold on to that a lot too when, I'm having these negative moments or these bad days of thinking like, is it worth my time to actually like, dread and dwell on this and really, waste my hours, even thinking about this? Like, is it going to even be a problem in 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 years from now? Probably not.
Right. They don't ever remember. Folks be mad. They don't even know what they mad about, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
They mad one moment, then the next, what happened? Yeah. And then your energy, right? Just the stress that occurs by continuously thinking about that. But I commend you for making a decision within your life to say, you know what, I deserve to be respected. I'm providing you that level of respect, right? And so that's very helpful, especially for individuals who are up and coming, teenagers and young adults. They need to understand that, there's only so much that I do like to give people grace, like, oh, maybe they had a bad day. But if they are someone who are constantly demoralizing you and treating you poorly, no matter what it is time to go. Value yourself more, but I know that's harder said. I mean, it's harder to do than to say. All right. Thank you for that. That was a good story and a good lesson. Can you talk?
Let me just comment on something she stated about not feeling good enough. So she's in a different position probably than the majority of people I deal with, who cannot recognize, on a journey of success, there is a syndrome that you will run into. It's called the imposter syndrome. Highly successful people can identify that they are in a spiritual battle with themselves when it comes to imposter syndrome. And for people who are not familiar with the definition of that, imposter syndrome is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite being high performing in external objective ways. So it often results in people feeling like a fraud or a phony and doubting their abilities. So she was able to identify that to achieve her success, and you have to have a level of awareness, and that's where education comes to play. That's where networking comes to play, because you do have to have a certain level of awareness. You know how she's saying all these things. She wasn't providing enough context for me on some of it because she just basically was just like, it evolved for her because she got past it. But when you're talking to
the narrative that got her to that point, that's what I kept saying. I was like, you know what? I probably should have asked her what got her to a point to where she possessed imposter syndrome. And if you pay attention,
well, because the highly successful people, that is just a phenomenon they experience, or that's just
she actually did experience it when she was younger. So if we go all the way back to the beginning, she did talk about how she wanted to be a rock star. Beat that, and so she had,
and it didn't materialize for her because she actually didn't have the support or the grooming to make it materialize, and she really didn't know because of the youth of her thinking or at that time.
But that was a narrative. I guarantee that was probably where that narrative came from.
Started that I didn't become a rock star, so
right.
I'm doing this,
right.
No, I get that, but
even though she found a way to still reach her goals by reframing her dream, she still felt that was not enough, right? And so she has,
even when she reframed it. But
reframe
And
it.
so that's actually, it's not a negative thing if you look at it,
Mm,
because what it actually does is causes you to be reflective, right? To be reflective at a higher level, because we can reflect and do our little journals.
mhm,
Um, but you want to reflect at a higher level,
mhm,
uh, and doing those things like reframing or remodeling, or evolving or figuring out another way to evolve to accomplish those goals that you have, to achieve the level or amount of success that you desire.
mhm.
um, you have to be willing to be vulnerable, fail, challenge your own internal conflict. And that's another thing we don't do. We would rather make excuses um, than challenge our own internal conflict,
Mhm,
because it's really hard. It's painful to, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'm just not going to do this. I quit.
mhm,
And it's kind of like the point I came to.
mhm,
Um, because and when people put expectations on you, or have this high, um they place you on a platform or on a plateau,
mhm,
um and place you in these high places, and you feel like you need to live up to it,
mhm. Yes.
whether or not you subscribe to it or not. You just know that people think highly of you, and you want people to think highly of you.
Mhm.
So you continue on in that pattern, even if it's not serving you. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because you still want people to think. But yeah, anyway,
Mhm,
it's imposter syndrome. And it's a thing you have to acknowledge, be aware of, and know that it exists.
mhm,
Um, and then have a strategy that you're going to deploy to combat that.
mhm.
And she had one, kind of. Um,
Yeah, I thank you for providing the definition for imposter syndrome for our listeners, because I think a lot of folks do not understand what that is, and so it's helpful that someone was able to, because this is kind of new even for me. I'm like, imposter syndrome. Where is all of this coming from? But I'm happy that we were able to define it. I will say though, from a personal perspective, I imposter syndrome also comes. So there's an element within you where that develops because of the narratives or whatever has happened, the experiences within your life. But there's also people who will try to force you and make you feel like you are an not an imposter, because I'm confused.
but that you don't belong.
You don't belong. And so,
Yeah,
and I will tell you why I bring
that's
that.
a real thing.
That's another real thing that we have to be mindful of, because I will tell you, I feel I'm very confident within myself. I really am. I feel like, I'm a person, so am going to make mistakes. But a lot of people will try to hold those mistakes over your head,
Yeah,
and
they
make
do.
you, even though you might have never thought that way, try and develop insecurities within yourself so that
Hmm.
you then become an individual who has imposter syndrome. And so you have to be mindful. People are slick, they real slick. That this type of behavior occurs, which is why it's good that they did define that. I appreciate that they defined it. I'm appreciated that you provided that for our audience so that they can be aware of it. But also know that sometimes it's not always on you. It is also on people who want to place you in a box and do not allow you to grow. Um,
Right. And we know why people do that, right?
of
Because they don't want to, because they want to create an illusion so that you do not expose their inefficiencies.
mhm,
So that's the reason why people have to. So it's kind of like what you deal with when you're coming up in high school or grade school, when kids don't play with you. It's because honestly, they see some sort of quality or something that gives you an edge, or they feel that gives you an edge over them. And so they have to suppress it or oppress it to so that they can shine. So the formal terminology for that would be esteem by exclusion.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I don't want to go off topic, but
no, but that's a good point. I appreciate that you brought that up. Let's wrap up this segment with getting some insight with regard to Tarra's principles and a message that she would leave for the next generation to ensure that they stay on the right path to success. So we're focusing on principles this year, and there were certain principles that we lean on every day. I will say that when Tiffany and we focused on our principles, we didn't realize that we had principles because we never wrote them down. I said, but we do kind of have some standards. I was like, I always used to say, oh, I'm just flowing in life. I said, but no, I do have some standards. But, I did allow a lot of concessions. And so one of the things that Eric Thomas, and we're reading another book by Ray Dalio, actually his book is our featured book for the year, was Principles. And Ray is adamant. He says, hey, you know what? If you want to grow in life, you need to develop standards, and you need to lean and leverage these standards as you are going through your day to day. So can you share with me if there were certain principles that you lean in on every day to help you get through your day and managing your life and your business?
Yeah, so I'm obsessed with time, and not necessarily time management, but time management is like one of the principles that I try to live my life by. And just, am I getting enough out of every day? I'm obsessed with thinking about, and maybe this is morbid, but what if I'm not here tomorrow? Did I live a good day? Like, if today was my last day, is it a good day? And so yeah, I'm completely obsessed with, getting the most out of every day and really being thoughtful about what I do on a day-to-day basis. That being said, I'm not naive. I know that I'm an adult. We're all adults. We're all humans. So we are going to have bad days. We're going to have negative thoughts. We're going to have bad months, bad years. But for me, a good day is, have I worked incredibly hard towards my goal or towards something that I really, really stand for at this moment in my life? And sure, some bad stuff may have been thrown at me today, but like, did I give today my all? Did I work through those hard moments? Was I able to overcome, some of the negative thoughts and turn those 90% of internal blockers, around, or at least some of them? So I think about that a lot. And my version of time management is being able to fill your days with meaningful moments so that you can create the life that you want to live. And again, that's not like, Instagrammable moments every day, every hour. Of course not. But it's like, am I doing something now and actually living in the moment too? A lot of us think about our goals and think about what we want to do in the future. And, but we're not actually like living in today. So I like thinking about my goals, but like, am I actually living today the way I want to live today? Right. So yeah, I would say that would be my biggest principle. And I can go on for hours about my thoughts on time and living our life to the fullest.
Yeah, that's so important, because you don't know if tomorrow will be your last day, and did you live it to the fullest in life? So I like that. I like how you, how do I want to say, how you built a new definition for time management, right? About probably valuing time. Time value would be a good one. How do I value my time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like, just day-to-day living takes up so much time. Like there's a stat out there that says we spend an average person spends almost 4 years of their life just like scrolling on their phone, probably more now. Or it takes 7 years of our life to fall asleep, and we sleep for about 28 years of our life. So if you add all that together, 28 years plus 7 plus 4, we're almost 40, and all we've done is lay in bed and scroll on our phones. So like that doesn't leave a lot of time to, accomplish our goals and to create these amazing stories for ourselves. So, I feel like every minute counts. But again, obviously we're human, so it's really hard to be on and to be, very like programmed every single minute of every single day. I'm not saying that at all. It's about, creating what works for you, and being able to just, live in that moment. Maybe people don't want to connect with their kids. Like that's fine. Don't, it's whatever works for you and your own life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you so much for those stats. When you put the stats in it, it brings everything home. You're like 40 years of my life. What? That is crazy. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to go read about that one. Oh my goodness, that was crazy. Okay. All right. So if you had to leave a message for our next generation, what are some lessons you would leave to ensure that they stayed on the right path to success?
I have a favorite quote, and I think about this all the time. It's by an anonymous person. I don't know who it is, but and it's based on being able to set your own goals. And it is, if you ever think your goals are silly, remember that there's a millionaire walking around who invented the pool noodle. And it's true. If you, came to someone and was like, I'm going to invent this foam thing that people use in pools and I'm going to become a millionaire, people would be like, you are nuts. But like, they did it, right? So again, live your own goal, keep your goals front and center, live your own life, make sure that you are doing something in a day to day that's actually propelling you towards those goals. And yeah, I think we can all kind of create these amazing lives, that we want. As I said, like we can become the Beyoncés of our own life. We've all been given those 24 hours in a day, so there's no reason why Beyonce is who she is or Taylor Swift is who she is, and we are struggling. We can all overcome those like 90% of the bottom of the iceberg. It's hard. It's not easy. It takes a lot of willpower for sure, and building the right habits, but anyone can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. I think I even learned from you. That was so, so helpful, but it does put everything into perspective. I look at right now, my career is it's pretty complicated. I'm in a whole lot of different spaces. My background, 20 years HR, human resources, but I transitioned into the health and wellness for health purposes and technology. And so it's pretty interesting because I'm in this space and I just started, right? And this goes for folks who are younger and they're trying to get off in their careers, but a lot of people will put an emphasis on the fact that I don't have enough experience. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I don't, but I'm growing, right? I just started. Can you cut me some slack? So you're going through this process, trying to grow, and you have all these ideas. And so you're putting them out there. And I like that, don't discount your idea. Something had came across my screen one day and I wasn't even looking for it, but it was just weird. It said, you have a good business, continue. It wasn't talking to me. It was something that came across the screen for something else. And for some reason that, resonated in my mind. And so, I continue forward. And I just think about how folks will try and discount you because you don't have enough experience, or they think your idea is silly. And like you said, the noodle, yes, we use them too. We use them in a pool, and I'm happy that I helped to make somebody a millionaire. So
Yeah.
it's very important. Do not discount yourself. Keep pushing forward your idea. If you truly believe in it, it will come into fruition because you'll start putting forth, laying the bricks, as Miss Kendra shares, laying the right bricks to help you get to Oz, to help you reach your goal. All right, fantastic. This is awesome. You are amazing. I truly appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, Tarra, your background, your expertise, your insights. Amazing. Thank
Thanks
you
so much
so
for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much once again for joining me here on Kinky Knots Cafe. Proactive is the way. Take good care.
You too.
She has
Thanks.
some strong points. And to summarize, some of the principles that are, I think our principles just, we never materialize, or no, I shouldn't say never, but sometimes things do not materialize the way that we want them to, because and I know we keep saying the same thing, the narrative that has occurred for so long for us just ends up overriding
Mhm.
our ability to attain that success or to achieve that goal.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. And she said it earlier, though, when you do have that kind of creeping in, and it's not even rocket science. I have to say this all the time because I think we put a lot of emphasis on when we're trying to overcome something, it has to be like an 8-step process. But really and truly, it's all about just letting it go, getting over it, moving forward.
uh-huh.
And it really is that simple. Trying to identify, why you're in that space, which is why this whole narrative process is so important. But trying to identify, where did that narrative come from? So in her instance, I don't know if she necessarily knew where it came from, but as I was listening to her, I was like, it came from you not meeting that first goal when you was a kid. I guarantee it. And so you kind of
True.
that, right? But then you push past it. You pushed past it. And the way you truly pushed past it was by continuously moving forward. You,
Mm-hmm.
you had a reframe of your dream, but you continuously pushed forward no matter what because you believed in that. And so when we have that belief within ourselves, we get over the imposter syndrome, and we continuously just keep moving forward, no matter if it is that you don't know where you're going. Like she shared, I didn't know where I was going. I never owned a business, that wasn't even my background, etc. She just knew she had a dream that she wanted to accomplish, and the universe conspired for her to have it. She had a little bit of luck, she had some
Right.
guidance, she put forth effort, and voila, 20 years has her business, Take It Easy, and where she now has a nice size team, and they're helping people globally, with serving as a strategic partner, you know. So yeah, it was a great interview. I truly enjoyed speaking to Tarra. I do hope we'll stay connected. If you are interested in learning more about her, and her business, definitely go to her website. It's the Take It Easy group. You can Google that and it will pull up there for you. Um, all right. Was there anything else you wanted to share, Tiffany?
Um, no,
Oh, you good? All right. So, coming up next, the Tangential Mind. This month in the US, it is Diabetes Awareness Month, and rightfully so, because we are just coming off of Thanksgiving. All right. I don't know about you, but I have never cooked so much food and proceeded to digest a smorgasbord of carbohydrates in one sitting. That had the potential to induce a comatose state. But if you know me, I am someone I like to balance everything. So, to ensure that with each carb that is built, I ensure that we have an equal amount of protein for slower and most effective digestion. So, instead of sleeping after dinner, this Thanksgiving, we were very active and playful. I worked out, and my kiddos were up until the wee hours of the morning playing with each other. But nonetheless, I think it's so important that we take the time to better understand this disease and the impact in which it has around the world. Diabetes, it is a chronic disease that occurs either when the pancreas does not produce enough insulin or when the body cannot effectively use the insulin it produces. Insulin is a hormone that regulates blood glucose. Hyperglycemia, also called raised blood glucose or raised blood sugar, it is a common effect of uncontrolled diabetes and over time leads to serious damage to many of the body's systems, especially the nerves and blood vessels. In 2014, 8.5% of adults aged 18 years and older had diabetes. In 2019, diabetes was the direct cause of 1.5 million deaths, and 48% of all deaths due to diabetes occurred before the age of 70 years. Another 460,000 kidney disease deaths were caused by diabetes, and raised blood glucose causes around 20% of cardiovascular deaths. Between 2000 and 2019, there was a 3% increase in age standardized mortality rates from diabetes. In lower middle income countries, the mortality rate due to diabetes increased by 13%. But by contrast, the probability of dying from any one of the four main non communicable diseases cardiovascular disease, cancer, chronic respiratory diseases, or diabetes between the ages of 30 and 70 decreased actually by 22% globally between 2000 and 2019. If you would like to learn more about the types of diabetes symptoms and treatments, please visit www.who.int. Did you have something to share about diabetes, Tiff?
Oh, actually, that was a very it was insightful for me because sometimes I forget the terms that I'm using with patients. And when you were like, insulin is a hormone, I always want to tell patients that and how hormones play an integral part in the body's ability to metabolize, process. That I mean, they just play a huge role in how we need to be mindful of balancing our hormones and knowing how hormones can change just the complete facet of face of your health.
Absolutely. That is so. There's many different type of hormones. Maybe hopefully talk a little bit about that because I don't think people realize how many there are and the different.
That vitamin D is actually a hormone.
And that I didn't even know that. It's a vitamin D. See, something new. I did not know. Thanks for sharing that. But we'll learn about that hopefully as we continue to go forward. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Join us in 2 weeks when we discuss the gifts of discernment. Discernment. Yes.
Don't forget about our song.
Oh, you have a song choice today? No, we can stop because I'll do the that's a wrap after you tell me your song choice. I didn't know you had one. Go ahead. What it is. For today?
Kanye West, Can't Tell Me Nothing.
Can't Tell You Nothing? By who?
Kanye West. Can't tell me nothing.
Go.
But I really picked that. Well, I had picked a different one, Meek Mill, Dreams and Nightmares, because it kind of aligned with what Tara was saying. Because in that song, more than anything, it was a snapshot of a hungry 25-year-old who waited too long for this moment to waste it for even a second.
Tell me the song again.
Dreams and Nightmares. It was off the album Dreams and Nightmares. Is the intro.
By
Meek Mill. Meek Mill.
Meek Mill. Meek. And I don't even know that artist.
Mill. Yeah, I mean, he's
M-I-L. Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that one out. All right. Good. All right. Any other ones you wanted to share?
That's it.
All right, good deal. All right, folks. Now that's a wrap. Join us in 2 weeks when we discuss the gifts of discernment. Discernment, the ability to judge well. Under a Christian context, it is the perception in the absence of judgment with a view to obtaining spiritual guidance and understanding. In our everyday life, we hear a lot about not judging. And if you have listened to other episodes, you will hear how I actually find this statement very concerning. I find it concerning because people are being taught to not judge. We are literally being taught to not think critically, to come to a logical conclusion. Because to judge is to form an opinion or conclusion about someone or something. But somehow the idea of judging has been confused with the notion of condemnation. Condemnation means to censor or to express disapproval publicly or to sentence someone to a particular punishment. We need to be careful with regards to the use of the word judge or judgment, as not fully understanding the context of this word will hinder our ability to leverage our gifts of discernment effectively. For this topic, we will actually read Christian literature to help us identify techniques that can be used to help us to be most effective at leveraging our gifts of discernment. Whether you are Christian, Jew, Muslim, or just spiritually led, you will find value in the techniques provided to learn how to use your gifts of discernment most effectively to judge well. Next month, we will feature Discerning the Voice of God, How to Recognize When God is Speaking by Priscilla Schreier. Priscilla leads Going Beyond Ministries, through which her and her husband provide spiritual support and resources to learn more about Christ via their conferences and through her books and Bible studies program. In preparation for our discussions, we have included in the description where you can pick up a copy of our featured book. To access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way, please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.